kick off a little bit with the team? He's obviously Nene's in the 21. As it stands right now, what are his chances of featuring in the 17?
Very good.
Is he sort of where you want him to be right now? Is he slightly ahead of schedule?
I think he's ticked off all of the healing time as one of the parameters that they look at, but he certainly ticked off all of the return to play measures and testing and whatnot, and he's been back amongst the team for a good few sessions now. So yeah, he's there or thereabouts.
How valuable will it be to have a centre in the centre?
You're assuming he's going to play centre if he plays. He, as I've stated, plenty of times, I see Nene as a centre or a winger, and I think the guys that played centre last week did a decent job. They weren't the hub of our issues, that's for sure.
You've said that before. Do you feel that Nene's a better winger than he is a centre?
I think a lot of the skills that he has apply equally whether you play centre or wing. He has played mostly as a winger in his NRL career. He's also played fullback and centre as well, as a younger player. So, he played at Leeds last year in the centres, but if he'd have played on the wing last year, he would have had a big year too. So, what
about the other injury absentees? Are they progressing as you'd like, and which one might be the first back in contention?
They are progressing well. James Bentley trained really well today. Mikolai trained well. Harry's going well. But I'm not going to forecast who's back first. It won't be Mikolai.
What about Holden on Friday? Obviously, contrasting halves for them in their first game. Obviously, you'll take more. Would you take more from in terms of how to get at them? Would you take more from the second half against Cass?
I think every game is its own existence. We understand the players that the other team have. Hull are forming their own identity as a team under a new coach. So they'll be a work in progress, as are we. Lots of changes to our roster and a fresh start to the season. So, I think last week was an exciting game for the neutral, and both teams played well at various parts of that game.
Was there any part of their game or performance that's different that you can sort of ascertain from last year?
Oh, yeah, they're playing a lot more freely, relaxed, moving the ball, kicking when they feel like there's an opportunity to kick. Much like many of Tony's teams over the years, as far as mentality goes, they're obviously just got different personnel. But it's too early to tell exactly what their identity is going to be. But they clearly showed some real strike in their friendlies, and last week's performance, they were red hot there for a period.
Obviously, you're facing your uncle for the first time. You've had to wait quite a while for this to come. Does it change the complexion of the game in any way, shape, or form for you personally?
Not in the slightest. No. Tony and I have spoken about this in the past, but we haven't spoken this week. But we've spoken about it in the past, and at the Super League launch, even it's it's Hull against Leeds, and maybe after the game we'll take a moment to reflect together. But it plays no bearing in the prep for me.
Would you expect to exchange messages before the game, or is that off until after?
We can go weeks without exchanging messages on a normal week, so I can't imagine he's checking in to see how I'm going this week.
No, he's not even going to wish you good luck now. Sure. Who does your dad want to win it on Friday?
Don't know. Good question. I haven't spoken to Dad this week, but yeah, I'm sure he'll be able to watch the game and be proud of his efforts to help both of us get these opportunities that we've had. And obviously, I'm just getting started, and Tony's second to none, I guess, in this competition, and the impact he's had on lots of different clubs and the competition itself.
What sort of impact has Tony's coaching had on your own?
None, I don't think directly. Tony and I haven't really spent much time in each other's company. He was over here in the late 90s when I was a teenager at home, and from there he stayed here, and we've crossed paths a little bit and we've chatted on the phone. And but we haven't really spent a lot of time together. But we've been influenced by the same, coaches, I guess, with my father and lots of others that have come from his coaching tree. I guess we've crossed paths and been influenced. And some of the guys that I've coached, that Tony's coached, say that we say things and do things similarly in some respects, but also that we're different. So I think both of them are compliments.
Just lastly for me, in terms of your philosophies on the game, would you say you're fairly similar, or is there any facets of the game that you might sort of disagree on from time to time?
We actually don't talk that much about footy. When we do talk, we check about each other's families and just see how we're going as individuals. And he's my uncle, so he's looking out for me as a younger bloke. But then he tells me not to call him uncle either. So we're kind of both on the same journey, but at different stages of it. We don't talk heaps of footy, but I have asked for some advice over the years.
Rowan, you've had chance to take a look at last week's game, and you maybe sometimes you do pick things up second time round, sometimes you don't. What did you pick anything new up having watched it back?
I thought we had some poor moments that led directly to tries. That was the biggest thing. Is
this week a case of putting in a better performance more than anything else? Forget results are always important, but do you need to see a better level of performance at this stage of the year more than a markedly improved result?
We need to play well regardless of what happened last week. That's, it wouldn't matter what happened last week. This week would be equally as important to play well.
Yeah, just on Harry Newman, James Bentley, just how close are they to coming back?
Hopefully in the next couple of weeks, yeah. Both of their injuries are not... They're a bit out of the ordinary, so it's a little hard to tell, and we'll make sure they've done a suitable amount of full team training before they're back.
You obviously started with Cruz leaving last week. Jared ended last season starting. What was the thought process behind starting with Cruz last week?
Cruz had a fantastic pre-season. He's trained very hard. He's in very good condition, and he's a veteran at the position. Jared's done a great job for us when being called upon it, but he's still very much learning the dummy half position. He's done a good job, as I said, but I think it was important to get the season started with a veteran of the position, and Cruz has earned the right through his training through the pre-season.
Is it very much horses for courses with the hooker who starts, who comes off the bench?
Cruz will be starting again this week, and Jared will support that as needed. Jared can also play 13, so we'll use him as we see fit.
Can I just ask you about Brad Dwyer and Liam Sutcliffe, obviously coming back to Headingley fairly soon after leaving? What sort of threats do you think they'll pose?
The same threats that they posed when they were here playing for the Rhinos. They're both good servants of the club and dangerous players in their own right, and they've started the season strongly.
Do you think they'll be extra fired up with it being back against their old club?
Oh, I know those guys love playing at Headingley, so I can't imagine that changes just because the jersey changes. They'll be excited by playing here, I'd assume, as everyone is when they come to Headingley.
That sort of prompts what I was going to ask you next. You're unbeaten at Headingley as Leeds coach. Just how important is the home form to you? Oh,
very important. That's it's very important to every team that wants to be successful to have a strong presence at home, and our fans are unbelievable, and the crew that were there last week as well. Were great for us. It's important to get the home season started strongly now, and reward those people for their passion for the club, and we're all in it together.
And just on your own team, Cameron Smith was on the bench last week. What was you thinking behind that?
I thought it was the best way to go based on Cameron's pre-season. He'd missed a bunch of pre-season. I don't think he was ready to play 80 minutes, so it helps interchange-wise to not have to bring people off once they do go on. So I thought that was the best way to go last week.